Good morning or afternoon, everybody, depending on where you are.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
On behalf of Anna Vallez and all of us at Changing Our World, we'd like to welcome you to our webinar, Advancing Our Parish Communities Through Challenging Times. My name is Fred Roberts. I'm a managing director with Changing Our World. For those of you that were expecting Jim Friend today, my condolences. I'm filling in for Jim from my office in the Diocese of Cleveland. And just want to start by letting you know that I've had the honor of serving the church and consulting with Catholic organizations for the past 22 years. I've had the distinct pleasure of working on major diocesan capital campaigns in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Dodge City, and Kansas City, Kansas, St. Louis, Missouri, and Hartford, Connecticut. I can say without hesitation that working in parishes is the most fulfilling part of our work. And I'm really excited for today's conversation on the best way to engage parishioners in what has been a topsy-turvy year, to say the least. While we have faced and continue to face numerous challenges, many church leaders, including folks who are here with us today, have responded effectively to those challenges and have been successful in maintaining crucial aspects of parish life. And we look forward to sharing some of their stories with you today. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. When you're not speaking, if you'd please mute your line. This will ensure that we don't pick up background noise or feedback while others are talking. And then when you are not muted, if you could consider using headphones or earbuds when you're on the webinar, that'll ensure we don't get an echo when you are speaking. Lastly, just keep in mind that computer microphones are very sensitive. So we just want to remind you that all the background noises are picked up by those, and sometimes that makes it difficult for everybody to hear what's being said. So that being taken care of, we want to jump right in. We have a great panel of Catholic leaders assembled today, and it's definitely geographically diverse. We've got both the East and West Coast and the Midwest covered. So right now, what I want to do is turn the microphone over to Anna Vallez, the head of Changing Our World's Multicultural Division, to introduce our panelists for today's webinar. Anna?
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. All my friends out there, it's great to see you. It's been a while. I want to thank all of our panelists for taking the time to join us today. Many of you know I've done this for about 25 years, and I echo what Fred says. It's just very fulfilling to do the parish work, diocesan work. I've worked in dioceses across the country as well, parish campaigns too. So it is, definitely a very fulfilling job. And in our work, we've been very fortunate and blessed to be able to meet some great people along the way, many of you, all of you that are on today. So we thank you for participating today. I'd like to introduce our panelists. To my left is Dave Baranowski from the Archdiocese of St. Louis. You have Mariann Gilbride on my right from the Diocese of Camden, Director of Development. We have Father Bill Hoffman. Where's Father Bill? Is right there. Say hi, Father Bill, who is the pastor of St. Philip Catholic Church, a church that I worked with probably about a year ago at this time.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it's in the Diocese of Green Bay. And we have Father Rex Hayes from beautiful Patterson, California, pastor of Sacred Heart. We have Msgr Paul Dotson in beautiful Redondo Beach, California. Say hi, Msgr Paul.
How are you? Good morning.
Hi, everybody. Yes, good morning. And I think that's it. I'll let Fred start us off, or I guess I'll start us off. Let's go ahead and start with the questions, ladies and gentlemen. And first of the questions that we're going to address has to do with, of course, the challenges that we've seen with COVID. You know, in the last 6-7 months, words like adjust, pivot, adapt have all been part of like our everyday vocabulary. And so what I'd like to do is have our panelists respond to the challenges they've seen at a parish level and or a diocesan level, and then how you've adapted to those challenges in your new environment. We'll start with Mariann. You have to unmute, Mariann.
There we go. I
Yeah.
kind of joked about that at the practice, remember?
Oh, yeah.
But I think our parishes were varied in their issues. For those who had not been live streaming already, parishes were jumping to get on board so that their parishioners could see their masses. And for those who had not been using electronic online giving, there was a big scramble for the rest of those to come on board. So we've struggled a little bit initially, but I'm getting word from a diocesan standpoint that the donations are starting to come back up again, some as much as 95% of where they were prior to COVID. So that's encouraging. Others are still working at it, but those were some of the significant issues we had, and just being able to reach people, especially those who did not have, like parishioners who did not have technology equipment at home.
Right. Thank you. Father Rex, can you talk a little bit about your community and the different various ethnic groups that you have as parishioners, and how you've been able to deal with communicating with all?
Yeah. You know, it's like the field is constantly changing here, especially in Northern California, because not only did we have to deal with COVID, but then a little bit later we had to deal with the wildfires. One of the biggest wildfires was just to our west. So, you know, every week it seems like it's something different. You know, we had mass indoors, or initially we were just having it just broadcasting on Facebook, and then eventually we got onto YouTube too, and then we moved into our new building that Anna helped us build, and then we had to move outside, and then we had to, because of poor air quality conditions, we had to stop meeting together as a community and move back into, you know, just broadcasting or live streaming our masses. And then, you know, it's just constantly changing. Right now, we're back into our new building. We were for a while outdoors for mass, and, you know, that it's best when it's indoors for sure. So, you know, and first off, you know, we got a one of those PPP loans, and that's helped us a lot so far. We're applying to get the loan forgiven right now, so hopefully that'll work out. You know, we have really promoted online giving, as you were saying, and you know, I think that our online giving has at least doubled since the whole COVID thing, and people are responding. But you know, our giving is about 35% down, which is, I don't think that, you know, all things considered, and you know, considering that our normal sort of Sunday attendance at this time of the year is about, you know, 2,000 people. A lot of those people are just, you know, they're you know, maybe pitching in $1, maybe $5 or something like that. So this our major givers are coming through for us for sure. And you know, people are doing what they can. You know, there's our Hispanic community is certainly hit harder by COVID right now, and a lot of them, even though we have mass, are not coming to mass. Although, you know, we do have more people come to Mass in Spanish than we do in our English celebrations. So, but people are good, and they're coming through. So it's constant challenges for sure.
Sure.
Constant challenges.
Well, kudos and blessings to all of you for being able to adapt to all the different challenges. I know the cold weather also brings in quite a few challenges. Father Bill, can you talk a little bit about how your parish is being affected now that you have the cold weather descending on you in Green Bay?
Well, we had a slight snowstorm the other evening, but it's melted. Our concern was right now, Wisconsin is in the national news. The percentage of positive COVID cases is very high. And so we've seen Bishop had last month lifted the dispensation for Mass. So the obligation was returned. Attendance started to increase again, but he's again given the dispensation because of the high percentage of COVID.
Right.
So it was challenging for us because similarly, our Hispanic attendance at Mass is much greater than our English-speaking members. We only had one Spanish Mass. So it was an opportune time for us to make a change in our Mass times and to join together two of our English Masses on Sunday morning and add a Spanish Mass on Saturday afternoon. So not having in-person attendance at Mass during March, April gave us really that opportunity. This is the time we'll make that change, a change that we had been talking and looking at. We need another Mass for our Hispanic community. So that is a hidden blessing within this experience with the COVID. We were not live streaming previously, so it was a learning curve for us. Our first attempts were so-so. We've improved. We had to improve our connection to the web in church and some other adaptations. And it's really been a blessing, the number of people who are participating with us through Facebook and the internet, the live streaming of our Sunday Masses.
Excellent.
Our giving it's really been a blessing. It's been increasing, very similar October's envelope collection to October of last year. So even though a number of our parishioners are not with us physically, they're with us in prayer and over our live streaming, and are sending in their envelopes or through the automatic giving. So that's been a blessing for us. A bright spot was the government payroll protection for those 8 weeks. That was really a blessing for our parish too. And we took advantage of that time to do some real super cleaning and maintenance within the church building and the school. So again, the challenge of the COVID, there's some hidden blessings that were in there also at the same time.
Right. Thanks for sharing that, Father Bill. Monsignor Paul, I know you've got a lot of ministries and groups at your parish. Talk a little bit about how you've adapted during the past 6 months, what you've been offering. Oh, you're on.
There I am.
There you are.
Our first concern was keeping our community together. And of course, those are the purposes of our ministries too, to keep our people together as a community of faith. So we sat down and decided what were the most important things we had to do. One of the first things we did was set up a huge, we had, I don't know how many volunteers, all of the staff, including the priests. We had so many people to call just to tell them we were thinking about them and praying for them. And that was a very positive thing in so many ways. Some people had just never been called by the parish or the priest and so on. And it really affected them. A lot of people sent letters and so on. Originally, we couldn't have Mass, period, except in the church with nobody there. So we were streaming from the church. We had a mass, just one mass on the weekend. But then they said we could open our churches. However, our governor said we could only have 100 people in the church. Well, as Anna can tell you, we have a beautiful new big church, and we can hold a lot more than 100 people. We were all set up to take in more people. We've done all the requirements. I think it varies, obviously, from state to state and so on. But we had 100 people there, and then it was growing more than 100, and people were concerned. But everybody came with a mask. They observed their proper distances, and after every mass, the pews were cleaned. And that was a big thing of making sure that everything was clean. Well, then they reversed themselves and said we couldn't use the churches again. So we set up outside, and we have 4 masses on the weekend, one of them streamed. And the space that we have is pretty well maxed out. We're getting about 200 people at Mass. And they observe all, they want to be here so badly that they'll observe all of the dictums that they have to go through to be at Mass. And it's been great that way. The only day that yesterday, Sunday, we had to cancel our 11 o'clock Mass because it started raining during the 9 o'clock Mass. And so we canceled Mass Monday morning, but turned out weather was okay and we were able to have Mass. So we've come up with a robocall system that we can contact over 3,000 people, or people can call in. We just say Mass is canceled tomorrow. We can do that as late as we want to. Right. So we encourage people, if they're going to come to Mass, to call this, or to, if the robocall shows it's from the church, to pick it up. But our ministries have been trying to do the best. The youth ministry is streaming, but involving all of the kids in some fundraising projects. I'm involved with the Knights of Malta, and they're handing out 40,000 kits for people on the street. And we did 4,000 of them, just the kids put them together last week. Again, we can't have any gatherings. We can't bring people into our hall or into our church, right, and so on. Everything has to be outside. Eucharistic ministry has taken a real hit because they can't get into the hospital. I can't even go in the hospital because my age, and I just got done with some treatments that I had to go through. So I have to rely on my associate to go. Sometimes they let you in, sometimes they don't. To visit funerals, we've had funerals outside. We have 3 this week. We've had a couple weddings outside that have worked out well. But unfortunately, we can't go inside any of the buildings. Yesterday, we had a staff meeting. We're planning for Christmas. Now, obviously, our concerns are going to be different than the Midwest and, the East
Coast.
But even then, we have to be concerned about light, about weather, and all of those things. So it could be a very, very different Christmas for all of us. But in the meantime, we keep reaching out to the parishioners. Our website has all kinds of opportunity for growth. We give them lots of information. We have one person that's just looking. We have flock notes, if you know what those are.
Yes, I've seen those, yes.
Bishop Barron. And every day there's something that goes out to the people that they can read or hang on to. And hopefully they find some nourishment or some attachment to the church. My fear is, Father said that too, that when this is over, it has sort of an apathy set in with the people where they're going to say, I don't need to go to church. I can go when I want to, and so on. Again, the collections are good. We cut our expenses way back. So we're doing okay.
Thank you so much, Monsignor. You brought up some really good points. I hadn't even thought of, hospital ministry, and that's really an important point. Dave, do you want to just speak to, from a diocesan level, what you've seen? Any challenges that haven't been discussed yet?
The biggest challenge, as we're trying to get parishes to move from maintenance to mission mode, this idea of discipleship, stewardship, evangelization, how do we accompany people? This is the biggest challenge. How do we help people still have that encounter with Jesus? How do we help that ongoing conversion? Monsignor Paul hit on it. the biggest thing that we have seen in St. Louis is many parishes have started the old-fashioned phone chain. In my home parish, we did the same thing, and this was the most phenomenal thing that happened. People don't normally answer their cell phone, but people were so bored that they actually answered their phone, right? They answered their phone of people they didn't know. So I was specific to my parish. There was 50 of us. We took the roster A to Z, and every other day we called 10 people, and just all we asked was, is there anything we can do for you? It was simply, is there anything we can do for you? And this has actually got people now back in our parishes, and many parishes in St. Louis are doing this, where this is actually now, many parishes are kind of instituting this as a new ministry. So whether it's COVID or not, we're once a month, we're just going to call people, right? Because that's ultimately what we're talking about is relationships, right? Relationships with the Holy Trinity, relationships with each other. So the simple fact of just calling. We also did the live stream masses, the electronic offertory. I will tell you, parishes in St. Louis that had a culture of discipleship, stewardship, evangelization, they pretty much hung in there, and they're doing okay in all levels of the church. But parishes that didn't have that culture, the pandemic has accelerated their decline, absolutely accelerated their decline. One other thing, I guess, other than the other panel members had mentioned, one of the things that some of our pastors did, and this was actually pretty cool, in the very beginning in the pandemic, when like some of the priests had said you couldn't have anybody at Mass, it was just the priest saying Mass, by himself, live stream. When it came time for offertory, right, and there weren't people there, many of our pastors took this as an opportunity to give kind of another little short homily. And they would give another little short homily on the spirituality of giving. And the key of it really was that offertory isn't just that time of Mass when we have our financial transaction with God, right? That's not what offertory is. But it's offering our own personal sacrifice united with Christ's sacrifice. And we've had these little 1-minute homilies on the spirituality of giving that I think has helped people show that giving money is as much of our faith as praying and charitable work. So that was something that we saw as well that wasn't mentioned already.
Excellent. I love that, Dave. Thank you for echoing that. Fred?
Just want to thank all of our panelists for these insights. I think these are great examples of some creative thinking and really being proactive in outreach to the folks in a time of great need. Before we move on to the next question, I just want to let all of our guests know we will be entering into breakout sessions here shortly. But in the meantime, if you do have any questions that you'd like to ask of our panelists, we encourage you to do so. There is a chat function in Zoom that I think most of you are probably familiar with. But if you'd like to ask a question, then go ahead and use that chat to fire them our way, and we'll do our best to answer all those questions as we move forward. So just want to take a couple more minutes before we move into the breakout session and pose another question. So we all have become very very aware of the challenges and navigating where we've been. But the question that I'd like to pose for our panelists is, what do you see going forward? We've become good at being nimble and adjusting on our feet. We've done things like host Zoom meetings regularly, and I know at my parish here in Elyria, Ohio, we just had a successful festival that was conducted online. So I think one of the questions that each parish is going to need to answer, and then also diocese as well, is as you look to reach out to your parish constituents, what is next year going to look like? Will your events be a hybrid? Will they be virtual? Is that something that you've been thinking about? So why don't we reverse the order, and we'll start with Dave this time.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I think, yes, it's going to hybrid. And I think some of the challenges that we're trying to overcome is, first, how do we take care of our priests and our religious, our nuns and sisters? We have a lot of rural parishes in St. Louis. We have a lot of urban and suburban parishes. But we have a lot of rural parishes. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of our priests. We've got a lot of priests that are by themselves out in the middle of nowhere with their parishes. So we're trying to make sure that our parish communities are checking in on Father. Because Father is missing all his parishioners, right? I mean, this is a common thing that we hear, it's just the relationships that our pastors and associate pastors have had with their priests. So we are very much trying, how can we keep that connection going with our pastors? We're trying in the areas where you're able to meet, invite them over for dinner, have them over for a beer, whatever that is, but maintain that connection. And then the other thing, quite honestly, is we are encouraging parishes not to cancel stuff. This is kind of the new evangelization, right? The new methods. So this is really, we're looking at it as an opportunity. The Holy Spirit's giving us a chance to be creative and innovative. Mm-hmm. So don't cancel stuff. Just figure out a different way to do it. Some of the folks had mentioned about outdoor masses. We had many parishes, Corpus Christi back in June, had outdoor Corpus Christi events that were awesome. Big outdoor masses this past weekend with Halloween, the trunk or treats, picnics that people had now instead of the pasta dinners that people had and all this stuff. People brought picnics to the parking lot. So again, whatever those events are, fellowship opportunities, don't cancel them, but figure out how to do something different. Because it's easy. Too many parishes, and this is the lukewarm nature of our church, right? The easy thing is just to cancel it, right, and blame everything on COVID. Well, we're thinking that this is the opportunity for the Holy Spirit to hopefully ask for help and how can we do things more creative.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Monsignor Paul?
Yes, thank you. We've had to think differently too. And, sometimes that's pretty tough, especially for an old guy like me. But one of the things that we've been, why this parish is known for is its outreach. And we have a garage in the back and we feed maybe 40 people a week. But we figured this would increase because of the situation. And a lot of them most of them aren't from the parish, I'd say, or they're not people we regularly see. But we were trying to do something different. So several months ago, I decided that so that people could see us and we could see them, we had drive-through blessing one Sunday. But what they but we asked them to come. They pulled up at the garage and the teens were there to unload their trunk with staples, food. And then they drove over and the three priests here were out there and we talked to them a little bit and blessed them, with holy water. We filled two garages. And I mean, we really filled them. And people kind of had a good feeling. It connected them to the parish and to each other. It was so much, there was so much food, as I told the people, I had to put my Bentley outside. And of course, afterwards, people came up and said, "Oh, does Father have a Bentley?" I said, "Not unless it's spelled Toyopta, or Toyota, pardon me. That was the street I used to live on, Toyota." Anyway, we did it again last month, huge amount of food, more so than before. And we're going to do it on it was the Feast of St. Lawrence, our patron. So we thought, what better way to honor him? And we're doing it again this month, and it's created a whole other new ministry. And there's so much food there, we're able to take it to a couple other parishes that don't have the same outreach that we do. But I'm just giving that as one example. That's just one way. We also have perpetual adoration here at the church, but we can't use our adoration chapel. So outside, next to the area where we have Mass, we had some windows. So every day from 12 to 4, we put the Blessed Sacrament there, and people are coming all afternoon. Again, the weather's different. Can't do this in the Midwest or back east, I'm sure. But people are coming all day till 4 o'clock for adoration. So we see a lot of people around. Our offices are open to some extent. They're not open. People have to come to the door, ring the doorbell. But people are coming in for all kinds of things, to drop off food or to get mass cards and so on. My second thing, I know I'm talking too long, but the second thing is we have to rethink what type of evangelization are we going to do when this is over.
Right.
It's going to require a new type of evangelization. I was talking to somebody about it today, because we're going to have to go back and get people back to re-evangelize them. So we're thinking a lot about that too.
Thank you so much, Monsignor. All of you have really touched on some great points. I think just given the time, what I'd like to do is have the others respond to that question in our breakout rooms. I think we're ready to do that. So we're going to have two people from our corporate office move us into those separate rooms at this point. All of you have indicated which room you want to be in. Fred will join the English speakers in their room. We'll let Father Rex and Father Bill respond to the question in the room, and we'll take the others. I'll take the others into the Spanish room. So we're ready to go, everybody?
But I can see in our parish staff a real interest. This is where the Lord is leading us. How do we respond? And that He guide us also in this.
Great, thank you, Father Bill. Father Rex, how about you? What are your plans for the future?
There.
Good.
Okay, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So far, our school has had a couple of fundraisers. I think before that, I guess we missed a fundraiser, our spring bazaar fundraiser, but it was just so soon after everything started with the COVID stuff. But since then, our school has had a couple of fundraisers. One was the Oktoberfest, where they, every year it's one of our big school fundraisers. It's beer and sausage. Well, we couldn't really, that's a big, a lot of people come, and it clearly couldn't be that. But they nevertheless had the Oktoberfest this year, just selling a sausage dinner with, you could get beer along with it, and that was pretty successful, I'd say. They've added kind of a new fundraiser for Dia De Los Muertos. They're selling. It's like you can get pozole for like $20 for a family, and pan del muerto. All these kind of Mexican traditions that they promote to the whole community, and I think that's going pretty well. Tamales is another thing that you can get. I think the pozole's $10, tamales $20. That's what it was. They had the back to school bash was another takeout thing. It was they grilled the tri-tip, and it was a nice dinner that you could. It was all these are like ended up to be takeout things, but along with the bash, they always have an auction at the bash, and so it was all online auction this time, and I think it was pretty successful, all things considered. So there's a number of these events that we've had that we continue to do, but they are now like pickups or online or whatever. We're looking forward to doing our annual Crab Cipino feed that we started back when Anna was working with us to build our building, and we're not exactly sure how that's going to all come off, but we plan on continuing with the tradition of it. You just can't have the same expectation of making the same amount of money as you do when people can get together, but I think it's important to continue with those kind of fundraising traditions that of our parish, of all parishes, to bring people together as best as we can, and to work together to continue the services that our parish and our school are able to offer. So There you go.
Amen to that. Bringing people together. That's what it's all about. Mariann, how have your plans changed for the future in your outreach to parishes and parishioners in Camden?
Well, we have found that more than ever, we need to try to be as transparent as possible with what's going on, reaching out with more phone calls and emails now versus paper mailings whenever possible, and as much as possible just to let parishioners and parishes know that things are still happening. The parishes are still conducting their ministries. We had normally our bishop would assemble at with a group of people at one of the facilities that is against abortion, and he would do the rosary there. This year, he did a rosary online and had some people lead the decades of the rosary, so it was still held. Another opportunity throughout the year, we asked people to tape themselves doing a Hail Mary or an Our Father of the Rosary, and tons came in, and we put together a giant rosary made up of people of all ages, sizes, colors. It was just a really neat thing. So trying to do those same things, but maybe do them in a slightly different way. Our Justice for All dinner that Catholic Charities runs every year to generate 6 figures in dollars that go right back into the hands of the people that need it, had to go virtual this year. We couldn't not do it. We still needed the funds, and people were tremendous in their support. They knew that this was something that really needed to still occur, because more than ever people were in need, and so many more were out of work and unable to feed their families as they would have been able to. So things like that, going virtual and showing that we knew that the support was still needed, was a tremendous help to people. And as we call, the one, I think, Dave, you were saying how you did so many calls a day. As we speak with those people and we'd find out what's going on with them, taking their information and adding their names to our prayer list, sending them a mass card, reminding them that we were still praying for them, just trying to be as creative as possible. And the ones that are creative are being so successful, and sharing those successes so the rest of the parishes can jump on as well.
That's great. It's all about sharing, and I think that's a wonderful story. And we really need to have faith in our people that they are going to step up when asked. So it's great to hear that. We have a couple of questions here from the group. So we'll pose the first one. If you have held a virtual festival, what platforms has your parish utilized? I'll just throw that open to our panelists.
In St. Louis, Zoom seems to be the one parish. We have a diocesan account with them, and many of our parishes have parish accounts with Zoom.
Great. I referenced the parish festival that my home parish just completed. Very successfully. They used a mobile platform called Rally Up. And, a couple things that were really going for us at St. Jude is that it's a well-established festival that had been taking place for over 30 years. So people were really used to the fact that we had the festival and used to supporting and participating in it. So that was good. And we had a good runway. We started promoting the Parish Festival months ago. So that gave us a lot of momentum, and we were able to achieve the goal. So I think there's some factors that can help to enhance the virtual festival. but that showed to us that we could be successful in that with that virtual approach. Anyone else?
I would say we use probably Facebook the most for these kinds of things. That's what seems to be working for us. We also have our website, so some things are kind of principally gone through the website, but yeah, Facebook and our website.
Great. So I'll move on to our next question, and that is, what do some new evangelization efforts look like to our pastors? So we have 3 pastors that can address that. Monsignor Paul, would you like to take the first crack at that one? You need to unmute.
There we go.
There you go. Yep.
We're trying to decide what we will do as far as evangelization goes as this winds down, if it winds down or even if it doesn't. It's making us think more about evangelization than we had before. And as I say, it's going to take a different face than it took before. And we have to determine what that is. Some things have been working well now, and we think, for example, just simple things that many of you mentioned, streaming the Mass every Sunday. I mean, we're getting the church ready, because here in California, we can't be in the churches, but we're getting our church ready, rewired. We just remodel it, but we're getting ready to put in new facilities so that we're able to broadcast more, not only masses, but other special events that might be, in a means of evangelizing. So we're looking into all of these things, because, as I say, many things, whether it's our outreach program or catechetical program, spirituality, we keep incorporating some of those things into our day-to-day streaming. But afterwards, we say we still should continue doing this. And which ways will we do it? So I think we're still reevaluating it. But as I said earlier, there's a whole new field of evangelization opening up because of the COVID.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Father Bill?
We're going to do a mailing to all of our parishioners for Christmas, English and Spanish. And with that, including then the Christmas Mass times and additional Mass times for personal confessions during Advent. We're going to continue the live streaming, and we are formation programs from the parish for RCIA is virtual. We're doing that through Zoom, through Facebook, through our website, our website internet page. So people that aren't don't have a Facebook account, can go into our page on the internet website and click on the Facebook. So some people who aren't on Facebook personally, but they can take advantage of those programs. So leadership programs, we have a series of evangelization themes, and we'll be doing in the evenings. They'll be through Zoom. Those who register can participate. They can send their questions in, or then it will be archived on our website, so that if they weren't able to join in a particular evening for a session or a particular theme, they can go back to that. We're promoting Formed to our parishioners. We have that access to all of those formation, and that's been a real blessing. The number of parishioners who have taken advantage of the many programs of formation, and for kids, for little kids, teenagers, young people, that Formed offers us also.
Thank you very much. And Father Rex?
Yeah, we're using Form 2. I was going to say that it's an exciting opportunity. We started we subscribed to Form at the very beginning of the whole COVID thing. So, you know, I'm not sure how many people are actually using it, but we're promoting it with our faith formation classes. So, you know, hopefully that'll get the word out a little bit more effectively. You can send things out. You know, we sent, you know, flyers in the mail to every registered family in our parish, but you know, they a lot of times don't read everything. So let's see, evangelization, trying to get some of our groups kind of oriented towards being able to use Zoom is a challenge, you know, especially our Hispanic people. But you know, slowly but surely, people are kind of learning to use these new methods of communication or networking. So I guess that's what really stands out to me right now.
Great. And Dave and Mariann, what kind of evangelization do you see pastors utilizing? Anything new or different in your dioceses?
Yeah, just not to repeat anything, but a lot of our parishes use Formed, but the advice is Formed is so vast with information. Have a group of people kind of build a path of discipleship, because if you just, our experience in St. Louis is if you just let people run wild and Formed, they won't do it. It's too big. You have, it helps if you kind of pick out things to look at, give them a path of discipleship. The other thing, we're taking, a lot of parishes, we're taking a hint from the elections, yard signs. They're inexpensive, so we're making these Christmas yard signs, Jesus, the reason for the season, and then join us at Parish XYZ, and then we have their website. So we want to infiltrate neighborhoods with all these parish yard signs that drives people back to their church.
Very nice. Love that. Mariann?
And jumping on board with the Formed, a lot of our parishes are using those, and they're developing prayer groups to discuss the different movies that they're working on, or even developing their own kind of biblical studies training within the parishes, so that groups of people can get together online where they might have previously been going into Mass. So things like that seem to be very popular, and I'm seeing much more robust parish websites. There's so much more that you can see, that you can get to on a lot of the parish websites now.
Por la mañana.
Hola, buenos días. Si viven aquí en este lado, pero si son del este, buenas tardes. Cynthia? Cynthia?
Sí, hola.
Hola, no te puedo mirar.
Hola.
Hola. ¿Buenas tardes o buenos días?
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. ¿De dónde vienes?
¿De Chicago?
Ah, de Chicago. Mi hijo vive en Chicago. Luis, ¿a dónde vives?
Yo en Dallas, Texas.
Dallas. Trabajé en Dallas por 22 meses.
Ay, you are a sinner.
Cada semana por 22 meses de San Diego a Dallas. Pero fue un placer. ¿En cuál parroquia estás?
Our Lady of Lourdes.
¡Ay! Yo trabajé ahí. Eso fue
¿Cuándo?
mi parroquia. Hace como 3 años.
No,
Sí.
3 años.
3 años que anduvimos ahí con la campaña capital. Changing Our World.
In our church?
Yes. En todas las parroquias de Dallas. Trabajamos con todos. Hace 3 años.
Well, because I was here 3 years ago and I don't remember.
¿Quién es el sacerdote?
Mándeme.
¿Quién es el sacerdote? Oh, eres el sacerdote. Disculpe. Nada más.
No.
Luis. Ay,
Luis es mi nombre.
Ay,
Así.
no, pero padre, disculpe.
No, que soy cristiano, eso es lo que nos une.
Ok, pues yo trabajé allí. Trabajé con Santa Clara, con el Catedral, recaudando los fondos para la campaña.
En la campaña diocesana.
Sí,
One faith, one future.
yes.
And that was longer than 3 years. I wasn't here. That's like
Oh,
6 years.
Ok, disculpe. 4 años se me hace entonces.
Sería más de, yo llevo aquí 5 años, so it's longer than 5 years.
Tal vez, sí. Cintia, yo me voy a Chicago
¿Sí?
en diciembre a visitar a mi hijo. Sí,
Oh,
es abogado ahí.
oh, sí.
Sí, hace mucho frío ahorita, ¿verdad?
Sí, ya empezó a nevar un poco.
Sí. Pues estamos esperando para el padre Bill y el padre Rex. Déjame ver. Pues lo que vamos a hacer es hablar un poquito, ¿verdad? Sobre cómo hemos podido vencer los retos, ¿verdad? Que se han presentado con COVID. Padre Luis, ¿puedes hablar un poquito de eso?
Escuchando a los panelistas, yo veía nuestra situación en nuestra comunidad reflejada y creo que bueno, hemos hecho un par de cosas nosotros. Lo del teléfono, eso I took upon myself. Llamar a la gente y preguntar cómo están, si necesitaban algo de nosotros, de la comunidad. Nuestra comunidad es 100% latina.
Sí, yo sé.
Hay un gringo despistado que viene de vez en cuando, no sabemos por qué. Pero aparte de eso es 100% latina, la inmensa mayoría migrantes, mexicanos y un buen número de Tex-Mex. Y lo que yo escuchaba de mucha gente era que al final de la conversación ellos me decían, well, ¿qué podemos hacer nosotros? Por usted. Entonces, hombre, eso la verdad es que me dio ánimo de que la gente estaba engaging. Y al mismo tiempo, la mayoría de nosotros, al ser una comunidad pobre, pues mucha gente que trabajaba limpiando casas, en hoteles, en restaurantes, pues claro, o han perdido, sobre todo a las mujeres. Hay muchos hombres, como trabajan en construcción, esos no han perdido los trabajos. También hemos estado bendecidos en el sentido de que tenemos un grupo de San Vicente de Paúl que está bastante fuerte y ha venido ayudando mucho a la comunidad. Y también, gracias a Dios, con caridades católicas de la diócesis.
Ah, sí.
Ya. Pues,
Y has usado el text to give. Aquí en California hemos usado text to give con toda la gente latino. ¿Han usado eso, Cintia o padre?
No sé qué es.
Algunas de nuestras parroquias tienen, pero depende en cuál online giving vendor que, ellos pues tienen.
Han escogido.
Porque sí, muchos sí tienen el text to give y unos sí los usan, pero no todas las parroquias.
Sí, padre, el text to give es bien fácil. Aquí en California, aquí con la gente latino, ¿verdad? Hemos recaudado mucho, más por el ofertorio. Y nada más tienes que hacer una selección en cuál vendor quieres usar, como PayPal. ¿Qué estás usando, Cynthia? Faith to Give tiene también text to give, donde la gente, en vez de dar sus cheques o en vez de poner $1 o $5, lo pueden hacer bien fácil con el celular, con su teléfono. Y lo pueden hacer cada domingo, cada lunes. Y mucha gente lo han usado aquí.
Uh-huh.
Es buena idea. Y si quieres, yo te puedo mandar unos detalles sobre de eso. Tenemos tu correo electrónico, ¿verdad?
Yes, ma'am.
Ok, muy bien. Te puedo mandar unos detalles. Cintia, ¿qué es el vendor de ustedes para el text to give?
Yo trabajo en la Archdiocese de Chicago. So, hay muchas diferentes, pues muchas parroquias y cada parroquia tiene diferente vendor dependiendo pues quién ellos quieren a trabajar con. Pero el más grande es Give Central. So ese es el Give Central que tiene el Text to Give. ¿Y quién más? Unas parroquias tienen PayPal. Otros tienen Faith Direct, pero no sé si Faith Direct sí tiene el Text to Give. Pero esos son
Sí,
tres grandes.
algunos padres cobran un poquito, pero el PayPal yo creo, en mi opinión, Cintia, es el mejor. Muchas de nuestras parroquias aquí en San Diego están usando PayPal para Text to Give. Entonces, yo te puedo mandar el link, ¿ok? Cuando terminamos, te voy a mandar el link sobre eso. Sobre las misas, en Chicago hace mucho frío. Dime, Cintia, ¿qué están haciendo las parroquias? No pueden hacerlos afuera, ¿verdad?
No, pero ahorita las parroquias pueden pues hacer misa a 25% capacity. So, pues no es mucha gente, pero dependiendo de la parroquia, cuánta gente puede tener. So, algunas parroquias 150 personas, 200 personas y más. Pero sí, las parroquias están haciendo misas, 3 misas al domingo, una misa. So, sí están haciendo misas y están bien.
¿Y confesiones adentro de la iglesia también?
Sí.
Ok, muy bien. Aquí yo he visto muchas parroquias que están usando, los domingos están usando el parqueo de la iglesia para tener las misas, para confesiones también. Padre, tienen el drive-thru para confesiones también y para misas. En estas parroquias que tienen sus parqueos bien grandes, yo sé que algunos no, pero esa es una cosa que están usando ahorita. Padre, ¿qué están haciendo? ¿Pueden tener las misas adentro de la iglesia en Dallas? Yo no recuerdo.
Nosotros estuvimos, bueno, la iglesia, el templo como tal nunca llegó a cerrarse en toda la diócesis de Dallas.
¿A poco?
Well, let me explain. O sea, hubo unos meses en que no podíamos tener la Eucaristía.
Ándale.
Si bien el templo no hubo ninguna ordenanza ni municipal, ni estatal, ni de la diócesis, diciendo que habría que cerrarlo. Entonces, nunca lo cerramos y los domingos, aunque no había misas, pues teníamos exposición del Santísimo, teníamos oración, teníamos música y había un trickle, un poquito de gente. Y luego ya hace 4 meses, más o menos, que hemos vuelto a las Eucaristías dominicales con un 50% de capacidad, inside, dentro del building. Entonces, una cosa buena que tenemos en el templo de nosotros es que podemos abrir las puertas. Bueno, hasta ahora ha hecho calorcito.
Hasta ahora.
Entonces, pues el aire que entra, pues eso es una garantía extra a la hora de que la gente no esté en un lugar confinado. Y luego las Eucaristías, pues las hemos hecho un poquito más cortas, de manera que, por supuesto, la gente con máscara, con physical distance. So, yeah. Pero vamos, pero justamente mucha gente no viene. Eso es un hecho.
Me gusta la idea.
No sé, yo veo más la gente, bueno, yo no sé los gringos, pero veo que mucha gente hispana tiene miedo.
Sí.
Sí.
Yo he visto eso
Aquí
también.
También, ya. Aquí también.
Yo he visto
Okay.
que algunas parroquias, todos están usando sus carros, no salen de sus carros, están adentro y con la misa afuera. Y eso se me hace que es buena idea. También me gusta la idea de llamar a la gente. Verás en la otra, con uno de los sacerdotes, ¿quién fue? El padre Rex o el padre Bill dijo que tuvieron una comité de gente que llamó a la gente para ver cómo están, ¿verdad? Durante la pandemia. Y eso me gusta mucho porque la gente quiere comunicar, ¿verdad? Yo creo que si andan ahí solos en sus casas, pues es una forma de comunicación, llamarlos, ¿verdad? Mucha gente no saben con el celular, no saben de la computadora, pero para una llamada es otra cosa. Cintia, ¿has visto eso en su diócesis?
Sí, so ahorita lo que tenemos mejores prácticas. So yo y mi equipo estamos reuniendo con parroquias, over Teams, y le estamos, pues, de las 5 prácticas, la primera es hacer esas phone calls o esas personal phone calls para hablar con sus feligreses, para ver cómo están haciendo y pues a darle las gracias y si están yendo a misa y si ese es el número 1 que le estamos diciendo a los sacerdotes, que si tienen tiempo, si se lo pueden hacer, que lo hagan.
Y claro que es mucho trabajo.
Sí.
Padre, ¿estás solo ahí o tienes diáconos que te ayuden
Bueno,
con las llamadas?
Bueno, las llamadas las he hecho yo. O sea, me pareció que era una buena idea que la gente escuchara de mí por ser el párroco.
Sí, claro.
Entonces, pues las sigo haciendo yo.
Pero ¿cuántos parroquianos, padre? Mejor pregunta es, ¿cuántos que son seniors, pues?
Bueno, nosotros más o menos seremos una comunidad de gente que esté registrada unos 1.300 más o menos familias.
Wow.
Tampoco he llamado a todos, o sea, no.
Sí, claro que sí, no. Pero estoy pensando en la gente
pero que he
que
llamado
son
a mucha
mayor.
gente, sí. Ándeme.
La gente más mayor, yo creo, ¿verdad? Enfocado
Bueno,
en esa...
yo llamaba a todo el mundo. Gente mayor.
¡Wow! ¡Qué bien, padre! ¡Ay, qué bien! Me da gusto. Lo que pasó, me están mandando correos electrónicos diciendo no pudieron pasar los otros sacerdotes en nuestro cuarto. Yo no sé por qué, pero nos están esperando en el otro cuarto. Entonces vamos a pasar otra vez en el otro cuarto. Aunque esto es nuevo para mí, ¿ok? Y yo no soy tan joven como ustedes, ¿ok? Entonces, me da... Ay, es difícil para mí, ¿ok?
Para usted y para todos.
Oh, yo creo, porque es nuevo todo esto, ¿ok?
Yeah.
Entonces, gracias por su paciencia con nosotros, ¿ok? Y ahorita nos va a cambiar al otro cuarto. ¿Tienen preguntas antes que nos mueven para allá? ¿Tienen preguntas?
No.
Vamos a hacer otro webinar completamente en español. Y lo que queremos hacer es invitar a los líderes de grupos, ¿verdad? Y de diáconos por todos los Estados Unidos, pero nada más en español, ¿ok? Y eso va a venir en diciembre o en enero, ¿ok?
Claro,
entonces,
tendrá que ser a otra hora, porque a esta hora no es una hora buena.
No, claro que sí, padre, que lo vamos a hacer en la noche, ¿ok? Mucho mejor, porque claro que muchos me están mandando texts y correos que quieren entrar al cuarto y no pueden. Están tocando la puerta, ¿no se oye? Espérense. Ok, preguntas con ustedes. ¿O estamos listos para regresar? Cintia, ¿tienes unas preguntas?
No.
Nosotros no hemos ido a Chicago. Quiero irme a Chicago, claro, porque ahí vive mi hijo.
Está bien bonito.
Está bien bonito, me gusta mucho, pero el frío hoy es difícil.
Sí,
en Texas también por 22 meses, padre. Lo que yo vi es que fue extreme weather, que un día fue 117 de calor y otro que estaba nevando por las carreteras. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Y fíjense que el año pasado que anduvimos con una campaña diocesana en Green Bay y tuve que irme para allá por 8 meses y no hay vuelos directos. Fue difícil para mí, pero me gusta mucho mi trabajo, entonces fue un placer.
Bueno.
Sí. Ok, me notaron que nos van a... Ok. Muchas disculpas que no pudieron entrar los demás. Ok, entonces nos vamos a ir al otro cuarto. Ok. Padre, ¿tienes algunas preguntas? Claro que voy a mandarte unos detalles sobre el text to give.
Ok, vamos, de eso sí, si tiene información envíemela, porque nosotros ciertamente sí estamos haciendo online giving, pero el text no sabía nada, no sé.
Cynthia, ¿no sabes cuánto cobran el Faith Direct o los otros? No sabes.
No, porque yo sé que es como un add-on del online giving, so no sé, en realidad no sé.
Padre, ¿qué usas para el online giving ahorita?
E-offering.
E-offering. No he oído a ese.
Es, I don't know.
Popular en Texas.
I guess.
Yeah.
Well, this hour has gone very quickly. And, Anna, do you want to offer some closing remarks?
Yes, one of the items that came up in our breakout room was the text to give. And I've noticed that a lot of our parishes that have large percentages of Latinos are using text to give. It's worked out really well. I don't know if Father Bill or Father Rex talked about that at all in the other breakout room, but I'm going to be sending some information to the others that were in that breakout room on text to give. Many of you are probably already familiar with it. But it's worked really well in terms of increasing offertory, allowing folks to use a different method of giving. So I'll be sending that out to everyone. Okay.
Thank you.
Were there any other questions? Any last minute questions that you'd like us to address? And I'm talking to the audience, the entire audience here. No? Well, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. I hope it was a good session for everyone. I've certainly learned a lot from our panelists and also from the conversations in our breakout room, and I hope you feel the same way. I thank you for joining us. And one of the questions that came up was to do a webinar completely in Spanish and to offer it in the evening when more folks can participate. It's a little bit easier. So we'll talk about doing that, and we'll certainly let you all know when we do that. Okay, Fred?
Thank you, Anna. And thanks everybody for joining us for this quick hour. Just want to let you know a recording of our webinar today will be available on the Advancing Our Church website, and we'll email everybody a copy of that along with the contact information for our panelists in case you'd like to ask them questions directly. While you're on the Advancing Our Church website, you'll see links to our weekly podcast. So we'd like to encourage you to check those out. This week, we've got a podcast that features a conversation from this year's ICSC with Msgr Marucci, Mariann, from your neck of the woods. And he's got some wonderful insights for pastors with regards to stewardship. So really recommend checking that out. Just want to also thank everybody, thank our panelists, especially for taking time out of your day to join us. Thank our guests also for being part of today's webinar. We hope each of you has a wonderful day, and we look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Blessings to all. Thank you. Good to see everyone.